Welcome to the story of my ancestors. Today we'll focus on my maternal grandmother, Mabel Hickox Rowley. Now, in this video, I'll be referring to her as Mabel, and I'll be referring to my mom, Mabel Elizabeth, as Betty. You know, it is kind of odd for me to be using first names and talking very informally about my mother Betty and my grandmother Mabel. But I think it will work better in this case than the generational relationship designations. It kind of gets a little confusing. Am I talking about my mother's mother, or talking about my grandmother, or talking about my children's great-grandmother, or talking about my grandchildren's second great-grandmother? And then when I start talking about her cousins, am I talking about her first and second cousins, or am I talking about my third and fourth cousins, or am I talking about my first and second cousins, one or two generations removed? So to avoid all of that mess, I'm going to be using first names and in some cases nicknames or the surnames if it will help clarify. So with that background, let's jump into the story of Mabel. Mabel was born Monday, March 27th, 1893, in the Bronx borough of New York City. Her first home was in the West Farms neighborhood adjacent to the present-day Bronx Zoo. Her parents were Arthur Harbison Hickox, age 24 at the time of her birth, and Annie Eliza Wahlberg, age 22. Now, very sadly, her mother Annie died on November 17th, 1893, when Mabel was just over 7 months old. We don't know the cause of Annie's death, but we do know that Mabel's father, Arthur, moved to Colchester, Connecticut, so that his mother, Sarah Kenny Hickox, could help raise Mabel. Now, just a few years after moving back to Colchester, Arthur became ill and died on December 21st of 1897. Sarah then took on the responsibility for raising 4-year-old Mabel. Sarah's husband, Charles Hickox, had died in 1883, and Betty remembers Mabel talking of a very happy but simple childhood in Colchester. Mabel attended the local elementary school and is pictured here with her 6th grade class. Mabel is in the second row, the third from the left. She then attended Bacon Academy. Bacon Academy had been established as a private school, but by the time Mabel attended, it consisted mostly of students from Colchester and the surrounding towns, and shortly later became the public high school for the town of Colchester. Now, she's pictured here with her graduating class of 1911. Mabel is in the second row, third from the left. Now, at Bacon Academy, she had some great friends. The picture here is in the girls in her class in 1910. Mabel is in the first row, second from the left. And seated in the first row on the far right is Catherine Morgan, and seated just to Mabel's left is Margaret Bunyan. Now, both Catherine and Margaret were a part of Mabel's life as Betty was growing up and visited the home frequently until Margaret moved to California. And then Mabel remembers her mother keeping in touch. And my sister Jean remembered that even later on, my mother Betty continued to have Margaret Bunyan on the Christmas card list. And so she made great friends during that time. Mabel then attended the Willimantic Normal School, which later became Eastern Connecticut State University, and she received a teaching certificate in elementary education. She's pictured here with her graduating class in 1913. Mabel began her teaching career at the Eagleville School outside of Mansfield, Connecticut, in a rural area near Storrs. Here she is teaching grades 5 through 8 in 1913 and 1914. Mabel is on the far right, standing behind the second row. Looks like that may have been a challenging group she had. And so after 2 years, she moved to the Collinsville School. And here she is teaching grade 5 in 1915 and 1916. It's interesting, the building she's standing in front of was known as the Redmond's Hall behind the Collinsville Congregational Church. And that's where my sister Jean and I both attended kindergarten. So life kind of came around full circle. Mabel then moved to Newington to teach at the grammar school there, which later was known as the Center School. And by 1920 was principal. Also, somewhere around 1920 was when Mabel met Harry Rowley. In the next video, we'll take a look at Harry's early life and his family, and we'll conclude that video with the story of what happens when Harry meets Mabel. Until next time, I hope you always hold precious memories of family close to your heart.